April 2282, and the Second Battle of Hoover Dam is a Legion defeat. Though only just barely, the forces of NCR under Colonel Moore and General Lee Oliver, along with an independent New Vegas, led by an enigmatic figure known only as the Courier, and the Yes Man, have successfully held off the Second Legion attack on Hoover Dam. In the months following, many expected Caesar to reprimand Legate Lanius for his failure, as he had done with Joshua Graham at the first battle. However, Caesar was uncharacteristically inactive in the months following the Great Battle, rarely leaving his camp, continuing to position there despite the threat, and it was soon found out why. In June 2282, the Great Caesar, unifier and ruler of all the lands from Dogtown to the Colorado River, had died of cancer at the age of 55. According to Legion tradition, it was customary that then Lanius would take up the position of Caesar of the Legion. However, trouble brewed back in the capital of Flagstaff. Caesar's adopted son, Augustus, argued to the legatus stationed there, as well as the frumentari, that Lanius, due to his defeat, was unfit for the position as leader of the Legion, and that, as Caesar's adopted son, he was the rightful Caesar of the Legion. He ordered Lanius step down and prostrate himself before the new son of Mars. Lanius refused. With many of the armies of the Legion stationed at the fort, Lanius declared himself the true heir of Caesar in July 2282, and began actions he wished to take before Caesar died. He began a purge of the frumentari, and many of them fled east, where Augustus promised them safety. Gathering an army of 23,000, he marched on Flagstaff. This kind of insubordination was unacceptable to Augustus, who had proven his own mettle as the Legate Junior of Phoenix and had pacified many of the tribes there. He had always had a bone to pick with the Legate, and news of the rebellion came not as a shock, but as a welcome surprise. This was his chance to destroy his most powerful rival, and secure his place as the new, unrivaled Caesar of the Legion. He gathered Praetorian guards from across the Legion, as well as many forces from the Colorado, Arizona, and Utah fronts, depriving them of needed men. By the end, he had a sizable force of 25,000 ready to fight for his cause. The Battle of Flagstaff was about to begin. Lanius approached from the west along the I-40, and after a short battle with forward scouts at Bellamont, the Caesar learned that Lanius' army was a day's march away from Flagstaff. Augustus's plan was centered around the highway. Vast defensive walls had been set up along the perimeters in order to force any attacking army to head for the interchange, where they would be swiftly cut off and annihilated. The legate's force was spotted, and they beat loud war drums as they marched. However, this force was far larger than expected, and knowing Lanius' experienced troops, Augustus recalled all the troops positioned around the city to the fortifications. The troops, commanded by Lucius, leader of the Praetorian Guard, fell on the fortifications in a long battle formation. Augustus's plan was already faltering, so he used his slight advantage in numbers to pull back troops from the highway itself and attempt to envelop the army, and force a frontal assault through the highway. This worked, and Lucius ordered veteran legionaries to advance through in order to hopefully make it through the city and force Augustus into a retreat. The battle quickly shifted, and the elite soldiers of Lanius' army were caught in a two-sided hail of submachine gun fire. They made it to the central interchange, where a final sign of good news came for Lanius' troops, and a disaster for the troops of Augustus. Lanius had sprung a trap, and 8,000 of some of the most disciplined troops of all the Legion launched a surprise attack from I-17. Lanius had split his forces after the Battle of Bellamont, and ruthlessly and silently approached from the south. Lucius' force serving as a distraction. Augustus's exhausted troops were annihilated, and the pretender only barely escaped with his life. The Battle of Flagstaff was a triumphant victory for Lanius. In the aftermath, Lanius had himself crowned as Caesar of the Legion, and put Augustus to death in a mock trial. However, to Lanius, the battle was not all celebration. Augustus had fled to Albuquerque to lick his wounds, and as long as he still lived, Lanius would never be the true Caesar of the Legion. After the battle, Vulpes Inculta, who had fled the fort due to the purges of the frumentari, was found and executed for treason. For Augustus, the defeat was an embarrassing fiasco for the son of Caesar. and his new base of operations in Albuquerque was a far cry from the resplendent and brutal fortress of Flagstaff. But as he retreated, many people rallied to his banner, but not enough. In the east, Legate Maltinius had been barely holding off incursions from the surrounding tribes, which had sensed weaknesses in the legion's position there. Hearing of the defeat at Flagstaff, and after his own victory at the Second Battle of the Golden Dome, the legate in the east, Maltinius, gathered his forces in the city of Pueblo and declared a new legion, the Purple Legion, with himself as Caesar. The old legion might have died then and there if not for a massive raid launched on Colorado Springs from the Hartzell tribe, with aid from the Salida and Led tribes, which would occupy his attention for most of 2283. Augustus was now in a dire position. Facing a two-front war and a dwindling and exhausted army, he had to take desperate measures, and turned to one person: his wife, a captured former Nevada Ranger named Octavia, her birth name being Alicia Barrow. She was given full reins to reform the Legion in a last, desperate attempt to keep the bull alive. But the bull was already dead, and on its corpse would stand a great golden stag. The Blue Legion was formed, created as a result of Octavia's military and social reforms to the Legion. Synthesis and antithesis, a true fusion of Legion strength and NCR technology and tactics. It is now that the Legion's names were truly settled on: the Purple Legion of Maltinius, the Blue Legion of Augustus, and the Red Legion of Lanius. As the newly retrained Legion forces were finalizing their exercises in May of 2283, Lanius marched again, hoping to finally crush the Blue Legion. Fallout 2296 is a fan project imagining a Fallout game set 15 years after the end of New Vegas in the Colorado Front Range. We hope to explore the backstory, lore, mechanics, and characters of this fictional game. The art in this episode was provided by the excellent T. Helen Art, and was written and voiced by the guy with the hat. We hope you enjoyed, and there is more to come.